Day of Reckoning. The chandelier, with its dangling, diamond-shaped cut glass, seemed brighter than usual as I looked up at it from the stage. I surveyed the audience, consisting of the usual lot of do-gooders, social workers, politicians, and policy advocates. I jotted "systems" down in all caps and underlined it twice. The oversized room was elegant, the tables dressed in white linens, and it had good chairs, the ones with cushiony, carpet-like bottoms. I was there to talk about poverty. I had delivered some version of the same speech nearly a dozen times in the past year. I barely had to prepare. Each time I gave the talk, polite applause circled the room, and I was flooded with invitations to speak at the next event. I knew just what to say, not to ruffle any feathers: stronger programs, more money, stricter rules, and the development of life skills for the impoverished. However, I was growing uneasy with the lie. What we were saying worked, did not. When my turn came, rather than give my usual spiel, I wondered aloud whether or not it was the systems that were broken, rather than the people. I spoke about the need to examine the instructions and structures in society and in the communities that impede rather than support self-sufficiency and economic mobility for individuals and families. Standing behind the podium in my nicely tailored suit, I felt safe saying what I had been thinking for so long. I was the director of a research center at New York University's Robert F. Wagner Graduate School of Public Service. I felt comforted by the position and believed perhaps I would be heard. I was an authority. During the question and answer segment of the program, a woman stood and identified herself as a social worker employed at one of the many agencies scattered throughout the city that supported poor and low-income individuals. "This comment is for you, Dr. Mason," she said. While she agreed that the systems did need some tinkering, she opined that what was really missing from the equation was individual responsibility, and that people needed to help themselves. A flash of heat washed over my body as I realized she was talking about me. In that moment, I was transported back to the countless hours I spent as a child waiting for my mother for social services in oversized rooms in unmarked city buildings. At the break of dawn, we rose to catch several buses only to be told to come back on another day because we were missing some document or that our application was still under review. For their part, the social workers seemed contemptuous and treated us as if they were doing us a favor by allowing us to receive ration-sized aid. Undeterred, we would repeat the trip the following day. "That's not true," is all I could muster before a skinny white man with wiry glasses began to speak. "I agree with the woman over there," he said, pointing in the direction of the woman who had challenged me. "There are programs out there, and the women, families, are not doing their part to better their situations. I see it every day." As I scanned the room, the sea of white faces with specks of color here and there seemed to agree with them. There was no dissent, only stillness. My stomach churned as I shuffled my papers. My eyes darted across the panel for help. Was anyone else going to say something? Why hadn't I just stuck to my notes? When I did, everything went well, and the narrative remained intact, cohesive, and unquestioned. By narrative, I mean the stories we all have in our heads about the lives of poor people, their behavior, and the reasons for their circumstances. In this forum, I was not only disrupting the narrative, but also challenging the financial investments, institutions, and structures predicated upon understanding of the poor as lazy, infantile, morally corrupt, and in need of direction and supervision. It was a narrative that, consciously or subconsciously, most of us in the room were responsible for perpetuating in some form or another through our work as advocates, practitioners, and legislators. I swallowed hard. I did the right thing. I am the beneficiary of many of the programs that we are talking about here today. I attended Head Start. I was involved in after-school programs. I'm the first person